Thank you, Paul, very much. Illustrious sir, ladies, nobles, and guests,
Turn it up.
I'm going to share with you a little bit about the last 40 or 50 years. And my wife's really concerned about that because now I can't even remember what happened yesterday. 50 years ago, when the Corn Belt Shrine Club was chartered, many distinguished Masons that signed that charter were active not only in Shrine but in Masonry throughout this part of Illinois. It might be some interest for you to know that the secretary of the Corn Belt Shrine Club 50 years ago was former city clerk of Mattoon, a guy that loved Masonry, loved the community, and worked hard, Brother Jim Warren. And his daughter is with us tonight. Marilyn, would you stand up and let the people see? Jim was truly a dedicated Mason and a hard worker. I wasn't even a Mason when they signed the charter in December of 1953. But I was a Master Mason in March of 1954. So I was almost there at that time. They were hard-working people. The fundraiser they had was they started the Cornbread Bean Festival that went for many years. And they come around to the grocery stores and panhandle. And I'll tell you, with Jim Warren and Glenn Stevens and Dr. Horace Batchelor, who was a Presbyterian minister in Mattoon, a 33rd degree Mason, and probably the most respected Mason ever in Central Illinois. When they come and wanted a ham or a bag of beans, you couldn't turn them down. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they did it good. They also sponsored an annual circus out at the old football field in Mattoon, and that went on for several years. And in addition to that, they had, in the Masonic Temple, they had wheelchairs, walkers, canes, hospital beds available to the public. All they had to do was come in and ask and sign up for it. Paul mentioned that the charter was signed by the potentate from Ansar Temple. It was also signed by the potentate from Ionod Temple. And most of the members back in those days were from Ionod Temple. A lot of them were railroaders. All they had to do was have a pass, get on the train, go to East St. Louis to the ceremonials or to the activities, come back home. But there were a few Ansar members. In 1954 or 55, I really think it was 54, they had a ceremonial in Mattoon at the old high school. It was on Western Avenue. And I was interested because I had just become a Mason, and of course I was working at the store about a half a block away. Had the parade, they did everything up first class, but they kept coming in and buying Scott towels, syrup, eggs, flour, and I thought, boy, they serve a lot of pancakes. And it wasn't until 10 years later that I realized that it wasn't for food at all. Right after I became a Shriner in 65, I believe it was, it might have been 64, I was a member of Ionod Temple, a member of the Corn Belt Shrine Club, and was elected in that first year to serve on the board of directors. In 1966, in about October, the potentate from Ansar Temple issued an edict that went to effect immediately. Basically, it said that as Corn Belt Shrine Club was in the jurisdiction of Ansar Temple, that 50% or more of the officers will be Ansar members, and every other year the president of the Corn Belt Shrine Club will be a member of Ansar Temple, and that the secretary will be a member of Ansar Temple unless the current secretary belongs to a different temple and he can serve until somebody elects a new secretary. And I have to tell you, these men, most of them are railroaders, had worked hard to build that Shrine Club for 10 years, were devastated, and it actually tore the Shrine Club all apart. In November, the potentate from both temples were present at a meeting. A motion was made by one of the members of the Shrine Club to dissolve the club, and whatever funds were the Shrine Club held would be split 50-50 between INOD and Ansar Temple. Potentate from Ansar stood up and said they would not accept money from the Shrine Club. The motion didn't pass, and that was the end of those hard-working INOD members that gave so much to this Shrine Club. They never came back. They started a Tuesday night supper club with their wives. They wore fezzes. They had a monthly meeting on the same night the Shrine Club met, but not hardly any of them came back to the regular Corn Belt Shrine Club. And it just so happened, having served 1 year on the board of directors and having switched my membership from INOD to Ansar about 4 months earlier, I was elected president to take over this club. We still had good Ansar membership. We still had some good INOD men that were members. And one of the things that we discussed in 1967 is that first we're going to continue the Cornbread Bean Festival, or the dinner, and secondly we needed exposure to the public. And on that same year is when the Cycle Patrol became a part of Shrine Club. We didn't ask the potentate. We didn't know enough to even talk to the potentate. We were stepchildren out in the wilderness. We decided that we would form this Cycle Patrol, that we would perform whatever we wanted to in Mattoon, Charleston, Neoga, Sullivan, Tuscola, Arcola, without asking anybody. We were going to do it. We got by with that for a while. And the potentate decided that we were from hereafter members of the uniformed unit and a uniformed unit of Ansar Temple, and that we had certain rules and obligations to abide by, and we really didn't care about that. We didn't want to do that. We did get the Cycle Patrol in operation. We ordered 12 Hondas from Andy MacArthur's dealership in Charleston. We had 10 of them sold, and we started practicing in what used to be Eisner parking lot in Mattoon on Sunday afternoon. I had a lot of fun, performed. The first big performance we did was in Charleston that year at Eastern's Homecoming Parade. We didn't have uniforms, we wore suits, and you know who was the first one to take a spill in the public? You got it, on a wet leaf. While we were doing a figure eight, I went right down. We kept the cornbread dinner going, and also we, for several years, to to get some public awareness, we, in late November or early December on a given Saturday, we rang the bells for the buckets at Salvation Army. And they really appreciate us doing that. That was the biggest fundraiser they had in one day when we were out ringing the bell with the fezzes on. The club continued to grow, but it really didn't do anything for Ansar. Didn't do anything except community activities. We didn't have any money. We'd make about $1,000 on the cornbread bean dinner, and we always had guest speakers at our meetings, and we had to feed them and had other expenses. I don't recall ever giving very much money to the Children's Hospital at any time. But in the 70s, things really started happening. Mac Roberts, I don't know how long he was a Shriner, I'm sure before I was not active in Corn Belt Shrine Club until in the mid-70s. And boy, when he came, he shook things up, I'll guarantee you that. He started off, he wanted an auction sale, and the first one was held out at Coles County Fairgrounds. I was in Danville, active in the Scottish Rite, and on the day the auction was being held, I was in Danville. Got back late in the afternoon, and I had already bought about $80 worth of stuff that Mike Roberts bid in for me, whether I wanted it or not. He also did the harness race, started the harness race, and that was the two project that, and we still had the cornbread bean dinner, that started raising money. Mac had a, you know, he was pretty rough and tough, but he had a heart of gold and an unending passion for the children at the Shriners Hospital. He really wanted to work for them, and as a result, these two projects got started under his leadership. Another activity that we had that come about from him was the annual Knights of Columbus and Shrine dinner dance. And that went for several years. It was really fun to meet with the Knights of Columbus. One year they'd give us money, the next year we'd give them money for their work. But it was really an enjoyable experience. Then we also had, in the 70s, we would meet at Mattoon Rifle Range with our ladies once a year for a covered dish dinner with the food and the liquid drinks being furnished by the club, and that was a big event for us, and that went on for several years. The year Mac was president, which I think was 82, 83 probably, we had the largest ceremonial in Mattoon with the largest number of candidates that Ansar had ever seen at any ceremonial outside of Springfield. 102 candidates that year. And were members of that class. It was really a big event. We lost the cornbread bean dinner when Mattoon Masonic Temple was sold, and they built a new temple, and Mattoon Lodge number 260 decided that it was time that we paid for the use of the temple, and we opted not to do that, and so that ended the cornbread bean dinners. Paul talked to you a little bit about the air show. We really simply fell into the air show. It was not any of our endeavors that it came here. John Stoner was working out at the airport when Charlie flew in one day and asked if we had a Shrine Club and would they like to sponsor an air show. They'd had the first one they'd ever had with the Papa organization. They had been in Robinson the year before, and John Stoner called me, I called Mac, and all of a sudden we got interested in air shows. We'd never, either one, ever seen an air show. Went to Springfield to Air Rendezvous, and met a lot of people and partied with a lot of people, but it was a pleasure for me to work with Mac Roberts. We never had a harsh word. We never argued over anything. We just had fun, and I had never met anybody any more dedicated to Shrine and this club than Mac Roberts. Mac then started a golf outing. He was never content with the money we raised. If it was $10,000, it wasn't enough. If it was $15,000, it wasn't enough. And the golf outing proved to be quite successful. And we thought that probably we had topped out and done the best this club would ever do. And if Mac were here with me tonight, he would have bet we were entirely wrong, because you, current and active members of this Shrine Club, have shown us how to make money and how to raise money, because you're doing it in a much bigger and a better way than we ever thought of doing it. And you're to be complimented for that. We didn't, Mike and I didn't play by the rules all the time. Mac, I don't think ever did play by the rules. We never wanted to spend any money, Shrine money, on the air show. If it lost money, we wanted to be able to cover that. And so we found a ladies' club in the Coles County. It had an Arabic name, had 2 members. They never had a meeting. They never paid dues. They didn't have any officers. But they sponsored a raffle drawing that Shrine would not allow Mike and I to do. I'm sure if you don't want to hear this. And so I think 4 consecutive years, we helped these 2 ladies, their names is Juanita and Julia, in selling tickets, 100 tickets at $25 a piece for a 4-day, 3-night Las Vegas trip, or $1,000 in cash. Tickets were $25 a piece, which is $2,500, and we knew that the least we could make was $1,500, and that's always what happened. But we put that money in a slush fund that I think totaled $5,000 eventually, so that if the airport show was a complete failure because of bad weather and things beyond our control, it wouldn't cost the Shrine Club anything.
It is up 10, Joe.
And I think that's when the cities in Matthew and Charleston started making you come in for a license to sell raffle tickets. That pretty well concludes what I have to say to you, the active members of this Shrine Club now. I've been privileged to serve in 1967 and again in 1989 as its president, and have thoroughly enjoyed the many years that I've been associated with Cornville Shrine Club. I'm of the older generation, and you, the younger generation, have taken charge and have done it exceptionally well. And we're really, the older people, we're really proud of you and the money that you commit every year, making this club the finest, not only in Ansar, but in my opinion, the finest in the state of Illinois. Continue the good work. You have a legacy. It's up to you to pass that legacy on to Shriners yet to come. Convince them of the good work you're doing so that they may continue following your path.